Near East, or UNRWA, Mr. Philippe Lazzarini, on 13 January 2024. I quote, "It's been 100 days since the devastating war started, killing and displacing people in Gaza following the horrific attacks that Hamas and other groups carried out against people in Israel. It's been 100 days of ordeal and anxiety for hostages and their families. In the past 100 days, sustained bombardment across the Gaza Strip caused the massive displacement of a population that is in a state of flux, constantly uprooted and forced to leave overnight, only to move to places which are just as unsafe. This war affected more than 2 million people, the entire population of Gaza. Many will carry lifelong scars, both physical and psychological. The vast majority, including children, are deeply traumatized. Overcrowded and unsanitary UNRWA shelters have become home to more than 1.4 million people. They lack everything, from food to hygiene to privacy. People live in inhumane conditions where diseases are spreading, including among children. They live through the unlivable with the clock ticking fast towards famine. The plight of children in Gaza is especially heartbreaking. An entire generation of children is traumatized and will take years to heal. Thousands have been killed, maimed, and orphaned. Hundreds of thousands are deprived of education. Their future is in jeopardy with far-reaching and long-lasting consequences. The UNRWA Commissioner General also stated that the crisis in Gaza is, I quote, compounded by dehumanizing language, end of quote. In this regard, the court has taken note of a number of statements made by senior Israeli officials. It calls attention in particular to the following examples. On 9 October 2023, Mr. Yoav Gallant, Defense Minister of Israel, announced that he had ordered a complete siege of Gaza City, and that there would be no electricity, no food, no fuel, and that everything was closed. On the following day, Minister Gallant stated, speaking to Israeli troops on the Gaza border, I quote, "I have released all restraints. You saw what we are fighting against. We are fighting human animals. This is the ISIS of Gaza. This is what we are fighting against. Gaza won't return to what it was before. There will be no Hamas. We will eliminate everything. If it doesn't take one day, it will take a week. It will take weeks or even months. We will reach all places," end of quote. On 12 October 2023, Mr. Isaac Herzog, President of Israel, stated, referring to Gaza, I quote, "We are working, operating militarily according to rules of international law, unequivocally. It is an entire nation out there that is responsible. It is not true, this rhetoric about civilians not aware, not involved. It is absolutely not true. They could have risen up. They could have fought against that evil regime which took over Gaza in a coup d'etat. But we are at war. We are at war. We are at war. We are defending our homes. We are protecting our homes. That's the truth. And when a nation protects its home, it fights. And we will fight until we break their backbone," end of quote. On 13 October 2023, Mr. Israel Katz, then Minister of Energy and Infrastructure of Israel, stated on X, formerly Twitter, I quote, "We will fight the terrorist organization Hamas and destroy it. All the civilian population in Gaza is ordered to leave immediately. We will win. They will not receive a drop of water or a single battery until they leave the world," end of quote. The court also takes note of a press release of 16 November 2023, issued by 37 special rapporteurs, independent experts, and members of working groups part of the special procedures of the United Nations Human Rights Council, in which they voiced alarm over, I quote, "discernibly genocidal and dehumanizing rhetoric coming from senior Israeli government officials," end of quote. In addition, on 27 October 2023, the United Nations Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination observed that it was highly concerned about the sharp increase in racist hate speech and dehumanization directed at Palestinians, since 7 October. In the court's view, the aforementioned facts and circumstances are sufficient to conclude that at least some of the rights claimed by South Africa and for which it is seeking protection are plausible. This is the case with respect to the right of Palestinians in Gaza to be protected from acts of genocide and related prohibited acts identified in Article 3, and the right of South Africa to seek Israel's compliance with the latter's obligations under the Convention. The court then turns to the condition of the link between the plausible rights claimed by South Africa and the provisional measures requested. It considers that by their very nature, at least some of the provisional measures sought by South Africa are aimed at preserving the plausible rights it asserts on the basis of the Genocide Convention in the present case, namely, the right of the Palestinians in Gaza to be protected from acts of genocide and related prohibited acts mentioned in Article 3, and the right of South Africa to seek Israel's compliance with the latter's obligations under the Convention. Therefore, a link exists between the rights claimed by South Africa that the court has found to be plausible and at least some of the provisional measures requested. The court turns next to the question of risk of irreparable prejudice and urgency. It notes that, pursuant to Article 41 of its statute, it has the power to indicate provisional measures when irreparable prejudice could be caused to rights which are the subject of judicial proceedings, or when the alleged disregard of such rights might entail irreparable consequences. However, the power of the court to indicate provisional measures will only be exercised if there's urgency in the sense that there is a real and imminent risk that irreparable prejudice will be caused to the rights claimed before the court gives its final decisions. The condition of urgency is met when the acts susceptible of causing irreparable prejudice can occur at any moment before the court makes the final decision in the case. The court must therefore consider whether such a risk exists at this stage of the proceedings. The court is not called upon for purposes of its decision on the request for the indication of provisional measures to establish the existence of breaches of obligations under the Genocide Convention, but to determine whether the circumstances require the indication of provisional measures for the protection of rights under that instrument. As already noted, the court cannot at this stage make definitive findings of fact, and the right of each party to submit arguments with respect to the merits remains unaffected by the court's decision on the request for the indication of provisional measures. The court recalls that, as underlined in General Assembly Resolution 96-1 of 11 December 1946, I quote, "Genocide is a denial of the right of existence of entire human groups, as homicide is the denial of the right to live of individual human beings. Such denial of the right of existence shocks the conscience of mankind, results in great losses to humanity in the form of cultural and other contributions represented by these human groups, and is contrary to moral law and to the spirit and aims of the United Nations." End of quote. In view of the fundamental values sought to be protected by the Genocide Convention, the court considers that the plausible rights in question in this proceeding, namely, the right of Palestinians in the Gaza Strip to be protected from acts of genocide and related prohibited acts identified in Article 3 of the Genocide Convention, and the right of South Africa to seek Israel's compliance with the latter's obligation under the Convention, are of such a nature that prejudice to them is capable of causing irreparable harm. During the ongoing conflict, senior United Nations officials have repeatedly called attention to the risk of further deterioration of conditions in the Gaza Strip. The court takes note, for instance, of the letter dated 6 December 2023, whereby the Secretary General of the United Nations brought the following information to the attention of the Security Council. I quote, "The healthcare system in Gaza is collapsing. Nowhere is safe in Gaza. Amid constant bombarding by the Israel Defense Forces and without shelter or the essentials to survive, I expect public order to completely break down soon due to the desperate conditions rendering even limited humanitarian assistance impossible. An even worse situation could unfold, including epidemic diseases and increased pressure for mass displacement into neighboring countries. We are facing a severe risk of collapse of the humanitarian system. The situation is fast deteriorating into a catastrophe with potentially irreversible implications for Palestinians as a whole and for peace and security in the region. Such an outcome must be avoided at all costs. End of quote. On 5 January 2024, the Secretary General wrote again to the Security Council, providing an update on the situation in the Gaza Strip and observing that, I quote, sadly, devastating levels of death and destruction continue, end of quote. The court also takes note of the 17 January 2024 statement issued by the UNRWA Commissioner General upon return from his fourth visit to the Gaza Strip since the beginning of the current conflict in Gaza. I quote, every time I visit Gaza, I witness how people have sunk further into despair with the struggle for survival consuming every hour, end of quote. The court considers that the civilian population in the Gaza Strip remains extremely vulnerable. It recalls that the military operation conducted by Israel after 7 October 2023 has resulted inter alia in tens of thousands of deaths and injuries and the destruction of homes, schools, medical facilities, and other vital infrastructure, as well as displacement on a massive scale. The court notes that the operation is ongoing and that the Prime Minister of Israel announced on 18 January 2024 that the war, I quote, will take many more long months, end of quote. At present, many Palestinians in the Gaza Strip have no access to the most basic foodstuffs, potable water, electricity, essential medicines, or heating. The World Health Organization has estimated that 15% of the women giving birth in Gaza Strip are likely to experience complications and indicates that maternal and newborn death rates are expected to increase due to the lack of access to medical care. In these circumstances, the court considers that the catastrophic humanitarian situation in the Gaza Strip is at serious risk of deteriorating further before the court renders its final judgment. The court recalls Israel's statement that it has taken certain steps to address and alleviate the conditions faced by the population in the Gaza Strip. The court further notes that the Attorney General of Israel recently stated that a call for intentional harm to civilians may amount to a criminal offense, including that of incitement, and that several such cases are being examined by Israeli law enforcement authorities. While such steps are to be encouraged, they are insufficient to remove the risk that irreparable prejudice will be caused before the court issues its final decision in the case. In light of the foregoing, the court considers that there is urgency in the sense that there is a real and imminent risk that irreparable prejudice will be caused to the rights found by the court to be plausible before it gives its final decision. The court concludes on the basis of the aforementioned considerations that the conditions required by its statute for it to indicate provisional measures are met. It is therefore necessary, pending its final decision, for the court to indicate certain measures in order to protect the rights claimed by South Africa that the court has found to be plausible. The court recalls that it has the power under its statute, when a request for provisional measures has been made, to indicate measures that are in whole or in part other than those requested. In the present case, having considered the terms of the provisional measures requested by South Africa and the circumstances of the case, the court finds that the measures indicated need not be identical to those requested. The court considers that, with regard to the present situation, Israel must, in accordance with its obligations under the Genocide Convention, in relation to Palestinians in Gaza, take all measures within its power to prevent the commission of all acts within the scope of Article 2 of the Convention, in particular, A, killing members of the group, B, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group. C, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. And D, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group. The court recalls that these acts fall within the scope of Article 2 of the Convention when they are committed with the intent to destroy in whole or in part the group as such. The court further considers that Israel must ensure with immediate effect that its military forces do not commit any of the aforementioned acts. The court is also of the view that Israel must take measures within its power to prevent and punish the direct and public incitement to commit genocide in relation to the members of the Palestinian group in the Gaza Strip. The court further considers that Israel must take immediate and effective measures to enable the provision of urgently needed basic services and humanitarian assistance to address the adverse conditions of life faced by Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. Israel must also take effective measures to prevent the destruction and ensure the preservation of evidence related to allegations of acts within the scope of Article 2 and Article 3 of the Genocide Convention against members of the Palestinian group in the Gaza Strip. Regarding the provisional measure requested by South Africa that Israel must submit a report to the court on all measures taken to give effect to the order, the court recalls that it has the power, reflected in Article 78 of the Rules of Court, to request the parties to provide information on any matter connected with the implementation of any provisional measures it has indicated. In view of the specific provisional measures it has decided to indicate, the court considers that Israel must submit a report to the court on all measures taken to give effect to this order within 1 month as from the date of this order. The report so provided shall then be communicated to South Africa, which shall be given the opportunity to submit to the court its comments thereon. The court recalls that its orders on provisional measures under Article 41 of the statute have binding effect and thus create international legal obligations for any party to whom the provisional measures are addressed. The court reaffirms that the decision given in the present proceedings in no way prejudges the question of the jurisdiction of the court to deal with the merits of the case or any questions related to the admissibility of the application or to the merits themselves. It leaves unaffected the right of the governments of the Republic of South Africa and the State of Israel to submit arguments in respect of these questions. The order then states that the court deems it necessary to emphasize that all parties to the conflict in the Gaza Strip are bound by international humanitarian law. It is gravely concerned about the fate of the hostages abducted during the attack in Israel on 7 October 2023 and held since then by Hamas and other armed groups, and calls for their immediate and unconditional release. I shall now read out the operative part of the order. For these reasons, the court indicates the following provisional measures. 1. By 15 votes to 2, the State of Israel shall, in accordance with its obligations under the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide in relation to the Palestinians in Gaza, take all measures within its power to prevent the commission of all acts within the scope of Article 2 of the Convention, in particular, A, killing members of the group, B, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group, C, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part, and D, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group. In favor, President Donahue, Vice President Gevorgian, Judges Tomka, Abraham, Benuna, Yusuf, Shway, Bandari, Robinson, Salam, Iwasawa, Nolte, Charlesworth, Brandt, Judge Ad hoc Moseneke. Against, Judge Sebatinde, Judge Ad hoc Barak. By 15 votes to 2, the State of Israel shall ensure with immediate effect that its military does not commit any acts described in point 1 above. In favor, President Donahue, Vice President Gevorgian, Judges Tomka, Abraham, Benuna, Yusuf, Shway, Bandari, Robinson, Salam, Iwasawa, Nolte, Charlesworth, Brandt, Judge Ad hoc Moseneke. Against, Judge Sabatinde, Judge Ad hoc Barak. By 16 votes to 1, the State of Israel shall take all measures within its power to prevent and punish the direct and public incitement to commit genocide in relation to members of the Palestinian group in the Gaza Strip. In favor, President Donahue, Vice President Gevorgian, Judges Tomka, Abraham, Benuna, Yusuf, Shway, Bandari, Robinson, Salam, Iwasawa, Nolte, Charlesworth, Brandt, Judges Ad hoc Barak, Moseneke. Against, Judge Sabatinde. By 16 votes to 1, the State of Israel shall take immediate and effective measures to ensure the provision of urgently needed basic services and humanitarian assistance to address the adverse conditions of life faced by Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. In favor, President Donahue, Vice President Gevorgian, Judges Tomka, Abraham, Benuna, Yusuf, Shway, Bandari, Robinson, Salam, Iwasawa, Nolte, Charlesworth, Brandt, Judges Ad hoc Barak, Moseneke. Against, Judge Sabatinde. By 15 votes to 2, the State of Israel shall take effective measures to prevent the destruction and ensure the preservation of evidence related to allegations of acts within the scope of Article 2 and Article 3 of the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide against members of the Palestinian group in the Gaza Strip. In favor, President Donahue, Vice President Gevorgian, Judges Tomka, Abraham, Benuna, Yusuf, Shway, Bandari, Robinson, Salam, Iwasawa, Nolte, Charlesworth, Brandt, Judge Ad hoc Moseneke. Against, Judge Sabatinde, Judge Ad hoc Barak. By 15 votes to 2, the State of Israel shall submit a report to the court on all measures taken to give effect to this order within 1 month as from the date of the order. In favor, President Donahue, Vice President Gevorgian, Judges Tomka, Abraham, Benuna, Yusuf, Shway, Bandari, Robinson, Salam, Iwasawa, Nolte, Charlesworth, Brandt, Judge Ad hoc Moseneke. Against, Judge Sabatinde, Judge Ad hoc Barak. I shall now call upon the registrar to read the operative part of the order in French.
Par ces motifs, la Cour indique les mesures conservatoires suivantes. 1. Par 15 voix contre 2, l'État d'Israël doit, conformément aux obligations lui incombant au titre de la Convention pour la prévention et la répression du crime de génocide,
All right. Shalom. Salama. Siyemi. Shalom. Greetings to all my Israelite brothers and sisters from around the world. Whether you're the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the house of Israel, you're a Gentile grafted into the house under the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach. Welcome you this morning. Make sure you all can hear me. Can you all hear me? Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. We have been witnessing history, family, and honestly, yeah, it is a big deal. Brother Garth, also known as Hebrew Off the Grid, also known that Israelite Prepper, aka Sister Coco G understood the time. A lot of our people in the chat understood the time. Because here's the thing, family. This is real. Yeah. I'm not even, no, I'm not going to disclose it. Never mind. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. I'm going to tell you this right now. The Arab coalition is springing up into action. I'm going to tell you right now, the Red Sea is probably now closed for business. And the Suez. This is very interesting. I'm going to return back. This is basically what's being reported. So when you are at The Hague, they'll give the ruling in English and French. Those are the two recognized, languages of international law, English and French. And then it will be deciphered throughout the power or the world. This family is honestly the very biggest swing and turn of events that we can witness at this time. And we're seeing it right now. What does that mean for you all? What does that mean for those in the chat? What does that mean for those globally? What does that mean for Question Night Africa? A lot. A lot can be said with this because it's showing that the power structures are shifting. Africa is being heard. Africa's voice is being heard. Africa's voice is being heeded. And what that's going to do is that this really puts a rallying point. A rallying point to the rest of the world. Let's get back to this.
Judges Bandari and Nolta append declarations to the order of the court. Judge Ad hoc Barak appends a separate opinion to the order of the court. The text of the court will be available from today in TypeScript. It will be available shortly on the court's website. The printed text will be available in due course. As the court has no further business before it today, I declare the sitting closed.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. That was late breaking. Actually, not late breaking. Early breaking, I guess. I told you we're going to have some exciting news today. Look, didn't I tell you? 24 hours. 24 hours. 24 hours. 24 hours. Hmm. Where shall we begin? I have the StreamYard in, family. If you all would love to come on in, participate, and do so in a gracious manner. This is Quest Unite Africa. This is the Quest Unite Africa channel. Please do so in a gracious and humble manner, please, if you would like to jump on. This to me, with what we just witnessed, is the legal start, excuse me, of World War III. Let me tell you why. Our commercial shipments are already cut off, Dorothy Osborne. And now it's about to get worse. See, don't think that just what the court has said is not going to be interpreted or said. This will not even reach the light of day here in the United States. They're talking about the RNC getting ready to uh, uh, crown the Don after 2 states. They're talking about Putin invading in Europe after Ukraine. They're talking about everything else but the most important topic of what we're seeing. This is really the end of, how can we say it, white supremacy. And it took a court case. Yep, you got it, Reuben Woodward. Remember, SA South Africa may implement restrictions since most cargo got diverted to Cape of Good Hope. There it is. If you know that you're losing a battle, if you know that you're losing a war, are you going to tell people back home? I told you this. This is now information warfare. This is the biggest news ever in the history of the United States since 1948. Bar none, the biggest. Taking place and happening right now, and nobody's reporting this. No, it's not a big deal. Who knows? Who cares? We have here our UK correspondent with Quest Unite Africa News, Sister Chantel. Sister Chantel, can you please tell us, what is the atmosphere there in the UK? How are the Brits feeling at this hour, at this time?
Shalom, everyone. To be honest with you, I haven't turned on the television to watch it. I want to see what people are saying because I kind of wanted to just immerse myself in it with the family. I don't, but like I said, don't listen. It's not the same kind of imperialism that you have over in the States, as you know, because you guys, especially the Protestant movement, is so rich in America.
Mm-hmm.
It's so they're very much about that place.
Yes.
But I'm not saying that over here they're not, but it's not like how it is over in the States. So people are like, yes, well, at the end of the day, they're they've gone too far. Most people will say they've gone too far. The
Mm-hmm.
only people that you would hear say differently would obviously be the ones who are that way inclined, or the ones more in central London, you know, the corporate types.
Yes.
But for the most part, more or less, the average Joe on the street kind of feels the same way. Like, yeah, no, they've gone too far. And a lot of people are actually saying, well, do we even know that they are who they claim to be? I mean, there's been a few Brits who have actually done videos saying the same thing, both black and white, you
Mhm.
know? So, yeah, it's just, for me, it's just, like I said, family, just don't be looking them in the right. It's just don't, because they're going to be funny about this for the next few weeks. I would say. I would
I
say.
You know what? It's funny you say few weeks. Here's the thing. I say it's going to be a couple of days before action's declared because um, things are happening right now in the Middle East, and I cannot divulge any information for that. Just
Well,
not now.
I was going to
However,
say in
things
regards to the
are
Middle East.
things are moving. Things are moving. I'll have some more solid confirmation probably by the end of probably by Sunday, Monday. I may have to do a special. Depends on how my schedule aligns. But I'm going to tell you this. Remember, everything, even Islamic law, is in order. Sharia just means law or standards. That is what it really, you see here going on. So now it's by their standards that they're being what? That they're being judged.
Mm.
And now you have one of the biggest, albeit, did it provide, a lot of interpretive standards of, punitive damages? No. And here's the thing, it didn't need to. Because why? Because all they did was open up the door to say, guess what? We're gonna crash this beachhead in Gaza City. We're gonna crash this beachhead right here on the strip. Why is that? Because under this order, we're coming through and we are watching. And then to me, that's when things are gonna start to get tricky. They'll come through, they'll funnel on in through El Arish, which is their connecting Egypt. You have a lot of things now moving in those moving pieces. You now have El Elliot that will be surrounded, which it already is. So, but I mean even more with a blockade. But they'll establish a beachhead. Let me get brother Mike, and then I'm gonna get Sister Shaw on for commentary, and I'll get to you, brother Garth. Go ahead, brother Mike.
But I mean, the way I took it, it's like they was giving them pedicure, massaging their hands and tapping them on the hand. I was expecting a little bit more, you know. I'm trying to find the words for it. Um,
You
and
want to be
maybe,
harsher. It should have been a little harsher, right?
yes,
Should have
yes,
been
that,
brutalized more. Yeah, go ahead.
exactly. And maybe it was, and it's just the legal speech that they were using. I probably, because Sister Shaw probably understands some of the words that they use and what the implications of the words. And so it's just like, with me, like I said, it's just like it was kind of soft. You know,
I
that's
for
just me.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut anyone off. For
No, go
me,
ahead, go ahead.
because I studied law at Montclair and kind of understood the jargon they were using, it isn't so much that they have to make a definitive like judgment and say or adjudicate them or give them like a definitive like reasoning, all because the thing about it is when you go to when you go to court cases and you go to like court, or people use different sources called people use a statute to interpret a statute for their case and see like to prove a point or to prove like a reason or judgment. So when a high court gives a recommendation, that could be used to adjudicate any future crimes against Israel based on that court's legal interpretation. That's like the bigger I think the bigger point of it. It necessarily doesn't tell them or it doesn't like tells them, it doesn't like lock them up. Sorry, I haven't slept like past 2 days a lot. But basically what I'm trying to say is it basically gave them a framework to go against Israel, basically.
Go
Exactly.
ahead.
So
Go ahead,
to
Sister Shar. Yes.
yeah, so to Brother Garf's point, and keeping in mind what Teo Ministries has been discussing about the government structure of our entire globe now, the biggest takeaway for me was that this court made provisional findings and instructed governments, sovereign states, to take action, and left the door open for those states to submit argument to the court why the court does not have jurisdiction over them as sovereign nations. It is moving to solidify the world court and its power over sovereigns.
Which is what? One step in the direction of what? Coming to the United States. Am I right, Sister Shar?
Exactly. I mean, we already have the United Nations here issuing financial relief to our new neighbors from the southern border. They're already established legal and necessary humanitarian presence here. So think it not strange that this court is now exercising its jurisdiction over sovereigns and saying, hey, we've heard the arguments. We are not reaching a conclusion that this is genocide, but based on the preliminary review of the argument, there's enough here to give us the right as the court to instruct Israel to stop participating in these behaviors that are defined as acts of genocide. And by the way, I'm giving you 30 days to give your report to the other government that's complaining against you so that that government can tell us whether or not they're satisfied with the actions that you've taken. It's exercising jurisdiction over nations.
See, this is a step in the direction. Look, going to war isn't just, hey, we now declare thumb war, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, none of that. This is the legal steps and precedences that's going on. Because in light of that fact, let me tell you, the framework is now loosely, albeit, all the other nations can run up into Gaza and be like, hey, we're here to support you to ensure that we can then witness on our own arbitrarily.
All right. Can I ask Shar a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
The 30 days. The 30 days is against who? Is that Israel that must provide information, or just other countries?
Israel has been instructed to take punitive action against anyone who is inciting violence and to make a report of actions that it has taken to relieve the humanitarian crisis. And that report is instructing Israel, that order instructed Israel to tell South Africa what they have done to punish violent actors, control the state led military forces, and to provide humanitarian relief to that area. They got
And they
30
got
days to report.
hmm.
Hmm. Do you?
Go ahead, Sister Chantel.
I
Go
was
ahead.
just going to say, do you feel that this is even more? This is deeper than that. It's like a setup for the one world government where they don't respect no sovereign nation. So it's not just a matter of it just being to come against America, but it might also be to put this in place so that the world courts literally has the standard. Nobody can actually come against once they make their decision. Everybody, remember, we know there's going to be a one world this, a one world that, so that's also a setup for that this is this is actually what they're using to bring that about.
That's exactly what they're doing, Sister Chantel, because at the end of the provisional order, they left it open for any objections to the court's power over the nation.
Mm.
Mm. So they could either cede with the process of the court, or they could simply walk away. Now,
Sorry,
if they
Karis, there was
yeah,
one
go ahead.
other question I wanted to ask Sister
Mhm.
Shah. What would that mean for us when we're back in our land?
Mm.
So I'm going to tell you this right now. It means that South Africa has already consented to the world's jurisdiction by submitting its petition to the world's jurisdiction.
And that's why you need to call on the Most High, why it says, do not go to Egypt. Do not go
Mm-hmm.
to your oppressors. See,
Mm-hmm.
if you set up, it's almost like taking the mark of the beast. You voluntarily took it. You voluntarily took it. You voluntarily gave, you gave them that power over your nation now. So now, even if they wanted to use that against them, or let's say a certain subgroup who wants to create a certain town in that nation, that
Mm.
people can go to the courts and petition against them.
Yeah,
Just
Yeah.
saying.
it could. It could. However, it could be utilized in the same respect of this is where you're going to have a lot of the doctrine, right? The manifest destiny and things of that nature, occupations and things of that nature. This is why when you see the claim that's going on with Slovenia and Indonesia, well, guess what, Sister Chantel? That addresses all of that. It addresses all of
Can
that.
we
So
bring in,
that's go ahead. You're robot.
can we
You're getting a
bring in an
robot.
on the robot
What's that?
coach?
You're,
Can
you're
you
digitizing, Sister Shaw. Not really. Go wherever you move from, wherever you move to. It's a bad signal.
hear? Hello?
Mm.
There
Now you're
you go.
better.
I'm back. Okay. Can we bring in
Yeah.
an eschatological analysis to overlay on this?
All right, I'll be there in a minute.
They gave
That's in Mike's lane. Yep. Go ahead, brother Mike.
the the other horns gave their power to the beast. When you come into a court and you file a complaint or a petition, you are saying, I acknowledge this court's power over me.
Yeah, it's the
Yes,
highest court.
exactly.
It's the highest court in the world, or
Yeah,
So
has been.
not higher than my father's.
Israel has two options. It can respond and object to the court's jurisdiction to tell it what to do, or it can do what the court told it to do and consent to the court's power over the state of Israel.
Oh, but here's the catch. The catch 22. Catch 22. If it rejects the power of the court. What happens when you reject the power of a search warrant? What happens when you reject the power of
Coming
a
by
stop
force.
and see? Bingo.
Here comes the pain.
Yes, it is. That is.
Pain.
This is what's happening. What's going on, brother Mike?
I mean, I'm listening to what Sister Shara said. Man, I mean, ooh,
Brother
it's
Mike done covered himself in packing tape. He doesn't know what to do. He got
ain't joking.
Oh, that's
Wow.
funny. There's so much that's actually going on that this extends outward. Like I was looking into the shipping, and for me, it's like, where does this go forward? It's like, it's so bad that they can't go through the Suez Canal. That means they have to go around. That puts on how much. Not only is it taking the time, but you're using up fuel that you don't have like that. On top of which, now here's something that I found interesting. Nobody is going to want to wait. We come from we're in a generation of, we want things instantaneous. So now what came to my mind was, remember, China was trying to do something that would facilitate the transportation of goods. They were trying to open up, what was it? The Silk Road.
Silk Road Project. Yes.
Right. And who dropped out? It was only Italy that got involved, and Italy got a lot of slack from all the other Western nations, and they dropped out. Now I'm thinking, is this going to be the push that's going to, that could this be another thing that we see where they will be giving their power to the beast? Because obviously economic power is like one of the greatest, it's what causes the world to go round. It's the economy, your resources. Could this be the thing that breaks the camel's back, like where they have to give their power in order to facilitate, okay, we're going to go, we will agree to this project that you
what's happening in France, Germany, and Poland right now with the farmers? Why are the farmers complaining? Because they're being taxed and they don't have enough fuel.
Exactly. And then you can't get the fuel to where you need to go, even shipping the fuel, and then you've got these ships that use fuel to get there. So it's like, you need something, that what they need is the road. The concept of shipping is so astronomically expensive. If you can go and use the land, it's so much cheaper. If you could build a railroad system that literally transports from China all the way into Europe and into Africa, that's 3 continents. That's Asia, Africa and Europe. That cuts the cost. And to be honest with you, I'm surprised that these so-called people who are like, oh, sustainability and save the planet, and they shut this down. Why? Because they know that this will give China or the East or Asia too much power.
So the actual correct term is the Silk Road, the Silk Belt and Road Initiative.
That's it.
And
That's it.
that was actually catapulted in 2001 with BRICS, and it was really fermented or solidified in 2006. And then in 2011, that was Africa coming on board with South Africa. So this has been in the making for almost 20 years. And now we're kind of seeing, if you're not in the real on the supercontinent per se, then you're really an outlier, and now you're going to get shut out. This is actually what's happening right now to the United States. I see. I like listening to Steve Poplar on the Poplar Report. He's a little right wing, but he tells the truth about what's happening with these food shortages. What's happening with these shortages at Walmart, Aldi's, and all the other regional, supermarkets like Red Lion, Kroger's, and even Publix. Publix is in the southeast, and he was talking about a Publix food shortage in Tennessee. I didn't even know they had Publix in Tennessee, but now I know. But that's something that we have to take a look at, because remember, these food shortages are only going to get worse. And it's not just food shortages. This is now shortages all across the board, and they're going to intensify. Because why? Because we're just seeing the verdict being reached. Brother Mikael.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
Hey, shalom, everybody. Shalom, Karis. How y'all doing, brothers and sisters?
Hey, what's going on, brother? Shalom.
How you doing?
Yeah, what's going on? Well, I may be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I see. I see this is putting Edom on lifting up Edom's skirt, looking at Edom nakedness and all the dirt that they have done.
Brother Mikael, I want you to understand this is question night Africa.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
So,
well, I just see this is making it legal where they got paperwork to back it to put troops on the ground in the U.S. because Israel gonna throw the United States under the bus once they get in that court. If they don't show up to court, they still coming. That's just what I see.
Bingo. Because why? You're held in contempt of court.
That's right.
And now the other nations. Do you know that literally puts a stop to what? All the conflicts all around the world, and that's the focus.
Yeah.
Break up all the empires that we have remaining.
Yeah. Because why? Nobody's going to worry about Ukraine. Hey, we can't worry about you. Ukraine's going to fold. I told you, they're going to probably fold in a matter of a couple of weeks. Now, to me, in my calculus with this decision, probably now a couple of days. Why? We can't help you. Because why? Because we're now in trouble.
Priorities.
So Ukraine is gone. I just saw something that they were trying to evacuate Syria and Iraq. They were trying to evacuate U.S. troops from Syria and Iraq. Why? Because now that's gone. You're not going to have any type of backfill in the Middle East. Strait of Hormuz is gone. This is why, at my estimation, probably right now, if you probably see any type of AIS, which is their shipping GPS coordinates and things of that nature, you're going to probably see a lot of ships probably at standstill or being berthed. Because why? Because they don't know how to proceed. If I try to go through the Strait of Hormuz, I may get commandeered. I'm telling you, at this time, right now, global economy and trade more than likely has probably either stopped or come to a standstill because people are trying to interpret what that means. Do I want to continue to ship through this, or do I just berth here, or do I just stay at sea? And if the longer that they stay at sea, guess what? The longer that you have, or the more of a risk of spoilage of whatever product.
Karis, you saying that, all I heard was Revelation 18, verse 10 and 11 standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. That's, it's like a domino effect. It starts there, and then we know where it's going, where it's heading.
Let me ask you something, Karis. So, what is the pro and the cons to the to China, to Russia, Iran, North Korea? This with this with court findings.
Well, the pro is definitely that Africa's in the driver's seat. That's the pro. And they have been in the driver's seat that's via proxy or solidified via that court order. Because guess what? Now you have all of these nations. They don't have to just be Arab nations. They can be any nation that South Africa deems would be helpful in the overseeing of oversight activities in Gaza. On top of that, all the nations that have openly expressed support for that Eastern Mediterranean country, now those nations, their goods have to be embargoed because you don't know what's being transported. That's now going to be the responsibility of every nation under what? This court order. I'm going to take this court order.
Brother
I'm going to do that. Yeah, go ahead, Brother Mikhail.
So is Africa going to spearhead this thing? Well, once Israel throw America on the bus and America get tried for her crimes, could this mean this could be our going home, back to Africa as refugees of war?
Well, here's the thing. We wouldn't be refugees of war at that point, believe it or not. We may be going back as political refugees. Sister Shar.
Well,
did we not just talk about this yesterday?
We literally were just talking about our refugee status yesterday.
Oh, I'm in the spirit then. I'm in the spirit then. Hey, I'm in the spirit. All praises. I wasn't even there. All praises. The spirit moving. Go ahead, sis. Go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. I think this is just me personally, is that South Africa, I wouldn't necessarily call it an African government. The history of South Africa and the struggle of South Africa, it's really more a creature of the West. And so while it is on the continent, its government is not exactly what I would call an African government. So I would be careful not to just say Africa and lump all of Africa into anything being led by South Africa, simply because of how it's structured.
It's like an amalgamated beast. It just because it's there on the continent, its very essence, it still has the West in its veins. You know?
That's what it is. That's what it is.
It is. Mm-hmm.
Even down to, sorry, I was just going to say, even down to the way they start saying, the use of colored and everything. It's like everybody else every other black person in the world understands that's not a term that we want to use, but you're the only one that does, and you're calling yourself a race and a tribe. Okay, that's just crazy to me.
Yeah, I don't feel that South Africa is representative of the kingdom that we're all working towards and waiting for. So to me, that would be the red herring. Not to get overly ambitious or excited with respect to an African nation's involvement in a beast court. I think that's sus.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. Everything is being done. It's being done for a reason. It's being done for a reason. We could look at the Bible and be like, well, Hezekiah, Nehemiah should have never gone and asked the king. Ezra should have never gone and asked. Look, that could be argued. Why? Well, scripturally speaking, they should have done this. No, no, they were given over to that power, just as we are today. And guess what? They had to work through that power, just as we are today.
That is
But it,
true.
but it doesn't. Listen, the Most High is going to use who He's going to use. So good, bad, good or wrong, how you feel about it, how you don't feel about it, it doesn't really matter to me at this point, because He's going to use who He's going to use. And now we're seeing how that's being used, because why? Because we've never seen anything like this, to where you literally have, it's a checkmate. If you either comply or you don't comply. If you comply, guess what that means? You're complicit. If you don't comply, guess what that means? Then we're coming after you with standing armies. And on
So,
Only thing
top
I
of
could
that,
think of
before those
is
standing armies even get there, all those that are supporting you, which is going to be the U.S. That's all. That's the target that's literally painted. It's the U.S. As Brother Mikhail had said, that's the target. I'm
and
going to go to them, and then I can go through you, because when they leave, then you have no other support around the world. And that support is now diminishing right now, because now these countries are saying, I don't know how I can fulfill your order. I don't know how I can get this thing to the port.
well, I think that you raised another really good point, Brother Karras. Two things. Number one, we have to be very careful about who we give consent to and what we're consenting to. We are
Yeah.
bound by our yes and we are released by our no. So we as individuals and we as a nation, we always have to be mindful of our consent. But the second point that you mentioned about how the US is going to be implicated in all of this, uh, I was listening to some commentary by an attorney who obtained relief under this statute in the Beirut situation. And his uh, conjecture was that the United States, by implication, is complicit in anything that Israel is found to be um, guilty of. And
Mm,
so for us, sitting here,
hmm
we're like sitting ducks, and the accomplice is 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 whose house we're stuck in right now. There will be, with the chopping down of Israel under this order, the United States, by implication, will get hit in the knees as well
Yes.
by the world court. And so I'm glad that you bring that up, because for us, we can't, we can't just sit and watch it unfold and not be thinking, all right, this is about to happen.
It's about to happen. Yeah. It's about to go down. No,
How
go
should
ahead.
how should we be posturing ourselves
Mm,
together amongst ourselves with respect to our collective relationship and our shared mutual benefit? A lot of things, yes, we trust the Most High. He's going to take care of us. And he also partners with us by giving us instructions. And our job is to hear him and to obey. And part of that is our posture towards one another as brothers and sisters. This thing is coming and it's going to hit all of us. Whether or not we're awakened, all of us will be impacted by what's happening.
hmm
So,
We were
in other
talking about that
words,
yesterday.
like the scriptures say, flee Babylon, get out of the midst of her.
Well,
And for the other, you know what? All I see is they making just legal groundwork to take some people into captivity. That's what I see. It ain't gonna be us. That's what I see.
well, let me tell you. We know where what the word says and where it's ultimately going to lead. We understand that. But I don't think a lot of our people truly, appreciate the legal structures and maneuvering that gets things to where they go. I've always said this on this channel. I've always said this on Covenant Awakenings on that platform. You don't have a war without any type of legal recourse. There has to be legal recourse. And now that legal recourse is now setting the stage. Because why? Now the stage can be set of, hey, I cannot do business with you. What hurts the US the most? It ain't bombs. You know how many things get blown up here? It
Lots
ain't
of
gun
money.
you ain't gun violence. You know how many people get shot and killed here? None of
Lots of
that.
money. It's wealth.
Bingo. When
It's
them
mammon.
pockets when them pockets start to hurt, oh, they're about to lose their mind. They are about to lose their mind. And they don't even understand what's happening. Why is this going on? What did you not know what happened a couple weeks ago with the ICJ? Yeah, it hit on over there. And of course, we're directly affected. All the West, UK, US, all of them.
Could you imagine the look on their faces when you tell them here that your sovereignty and your constitution has been suspended or permanently deleted? These people gonna go go crazy.
Well,
Who you talking about? The
America.
ones in. Oh
Americans.
right. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
well, why would it? And now here's the mechanism. Why would it? This is what they were always afraid of. Why would it? Well, here's the thing. Due to the decision of the World Court, we're going to have to, reanalyze some things to ensure that we're in compliance. Do you see what you get what I'm saying? They won't analyze that. No, they won't give that to you. They will not give that to you. But best believe this is what they're doing behind the scenes. Because why? Remember all the threats. They didn't want the World Court to take up this trial or this case at all.
No,
Because
they.
why? It opens the door for them. Go ahead, Sister Chantel.
I was gonna say. I read Jeremiah 50, and I was breaking down. The idols. One thing that came, that was made, um, that came to me was the idols as well. We just look at the celebrities. It's almost like the Holy Spirit said, "Hold on a sec. Who do you think sitting over there has not the Christian world? The whole world has idolized those people. And come tomorrow, it's like he said to me, they're going to be confounded.
Yeah.
Her idols are confounded, and her images are broken in pieces. They're going to be broken in so many ways. Not only are they going to be broken in spirit and they will know despair and everything, but also we know that what is prophesied is the land is going to be broken. Everything's going to be broken. Her images are broken in pieces.
Yep.
So it's so much deeper than just this and the other. It's like everything. All versions of idolatry is being confounded, and all these idolatry and images are being broken into pieces. I just found that really interesting.
And
Oh
as you
yeah.
say that, Sister Chantel, like I was watching the live on Al Jazeera or whatever the channel, and they had this one guy. I'm pretty sure he was in support of that nation that everyone's after now. He was like, "Who cares what the ICJ states or blah blah blah, and what does South Africa? Who are they to bring up apartheid? They're an apartheid country. Blah blah blah." This guy was
I
so
think I know who you're talking
this
about.
guy was so ignorant and combative, and I was just saying to myself, yeah, I know why. Well, actually, let me be quiet. Let me just say I know why these people are going to face hurt. I'll just say that in a nice way.
Well, and all they're doing is what they're doing is they have to be careful of what they're saying now, because now the whole world is their ears are propped up.
The
You see, they're
spotlight
making
is on them.
the worst. The
Remember,
worst of it even.
they've never liked having the spotlight on them like this. They don't like it. It's like cockroaches who are the light has been shown on them. They don't know how to deal with it. Like I said, their buffer is gone.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it said. Brother said the skirt being lifted up. He wasn't wrong. Your skirt's lifted right over your head, and now
Their
everybody can
foundation
see
has
you.
been dug up, Sister Sanchez.
What was that? What did you say?
They have dug up their foundation.
Yes, they have. Everything's just removed from them now. I I know it sounds really weird, but I kind of feel sorry for them. Only a little bit. I kind of feel sorry for them just to watch the crumbling and the despair and everything. To see somebody that has put themselves so high up, how great is your fall going to be? It's like literally falling like, like lightning.
Well,
Your fall is going to be that great.
exactly. And so that's what, Question Night Africa Friday is all about. This is a discussion that, listen, this is what's happening on the continent. And the reason that we bring this segment, it's dedicated to the mission of Question Night Africa, which is to build critical infrastructure and economic development on the continent for the benefit of Africa and its people. And now we see that benefit is going to be even greater because that economic development is going to be going over there while economic decline is going to be occurring right here. Really, one court case after another.
All right, let me ask you something then, Karis. What would that, what would this ruling or whatever mean for the churches here?
Oh, listen, this Sunday, um, they're not going to even talk about it. They're going to talk about, faith in action, and they're going to talk about tithing.
Prosperity.
Yeah, that's it. That's the only thing that they can talk about. Because why? Because if they look outside of what's happening in the United States, they're now coming to realize that they're the bad guys.
I
There's
tell you
no
what they're gonna talk about
prosperity in
Sunday.
what they have anyway.
I can tell you what they're gonna talk about Sunday. Have you ever been swallowed? That's what they're gonna talk about. What TD Jake said. Yeah, that's what they're gonna talk about. Nothing.
Yeah. All right, Brother Mikael. Again, this is Question Night Africa.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, brother. Let me be quiet.
All right.
For me, I
Uh,
just feel like as if there's how can you speak about prosperity when your whole country is practically in ruins? People are broke. They've been broke from 2020 when these churches were begging them to keep paying
Yes.
tithes and everything. Like you people have been made rich. This is the time that you should be paying and being there for your parishioners now. This is the time.
Well,
That's
remember, I just saw this article. I wanted to pick this on up. This article was saying, the church has been at the worst point in history here in the United States because so many people are not going to church as they once had. They
oh
have
yeah.
now removed themselves, and now they quote unquote don't have a religion or a religious structure. But the problem was, remember, their religion was based off of their prosperity.
hmm
Filthy lucre.
Yeah, exactly. And now that they're hitting tough times, and now that their, moral high ground is not really a high ground, but has just been, something usurped because they had the prosperity to say, if you don't listen to me, I can't pay you. And now they're like, pay me what? Your little paper dollars ain't nothing to this gold under my feet.
hmm
Christ hasn't come back yet because you haven't tithed enough.
I love when you do your little voices. It
Absolutely.
really cracks me
Figure
up.
that shit now.
Hmm.
So yeah, so and what does that mean? Look, it just means to me that due to the changing economic climate and environment, the world is paying much more attention to Africa as a competitive economic force that is being developed not just over the next few years. Now it's the next few months. The next few months. This is an opportunity for us to work with our brothers and sisters on the continent and provide the necessary collaboration needed for success. Here's the thing: we have to ensure that we take advantage of these moments, of these opportunities. This is what the Invest in Africa seminar is all about. You want to know why this thing is so important? You better start to understand what that breakdown is with The Hague, because you're not going to get this in any of these Western media commentaries. The US will not say anything. The UK, maybe France, who knows? Germany, but definitely not over in the Atlantic, across the water. They're going to tell you the stock market is still on course for whatever high. They have to cook that up because they know that that is your idol. It is. Oh, my 401k is looking great, but I can't get anything at the grocery store because everything is looking lean. That's what's happening. And when you're in these other places, your grocery store shelves are going to be stocked. If you're in areas that have traditional economically high or demographics, the ones that don't, they don't get it, right? It's now literally the haves and the have-nots. And then
Even
people
that
use
has a limit.
bingo, and that has a limit too.
You know what I see too, brother Karras? I see like um now if you do business with any of those nations, you're basically accomplished.
Bingo.
And now Africa was brought down low, is up high. You could do business with the Africans because we have been brutalized and battered, and we are the people who will eventually be brought to the forefront to bring back order and justice. I don't want to be all too spiritual, but you see what I'm saying. Africa is definitely going to be the epicenter of business of the world because Africa is going to make a structure of justice and order and opportunity and equality because I believe the Most High has given them the favor to do that now. But the whole thing about the court in South Africa, I feel like the people, us, the Abantu people, are going to use that same that same jargon or framework against its own government. I could see that happening.
Well,
So I mean, are we saying this?
yeah, go ahead,
This is like the start of the? Are we saying that this is the start of the 10 toes? Is I mean, could we say that?
well, the 10 toes to me has already started. It's just now
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know,
getting
it's the starting of it.
yeah, it's the power structure that's behind it that's getting ready to take off. And someone had it in the comment, the GDP has increased by 3.3%. You know what? I don't believe any of the numbers because here's what's happened. They report that and then it gets revised down. They revise down the numbers 3 or 4 months later, and then it's like, well, we actually had a negative GDP. Well, how do
Yeah.
we have a negative GDP? I thought we had a positive GDP. Oh well, this is before the revisions, before they actually report everything. So I don't believe anything that they say. You got to remember they're trying to cook up the economic data because here's the thing: you have to have people play. They have to continue to play the slots. A casino doesn't make money if people aren't in there pulling the levers. And this is the world's biggest casino right here.
You ain't lying, man. This is a casino. Here.
It really is.
They choose the winners and
And
losers for sure.
losers, bingo. They choose the winners and losers. And we have traditionally lost every time we have
Snake
pulled the
eyes each
slots.
time.
Exactly. Exactly. Gee, surprise, surprise. But now the world is seeing that because remember that what they have done to us, they do to them, thinking that hey, if we could do it to the Most High's children, guess what? This should then work for anybody. And now they're coming to find out that ain't working. That model is no longer there. So then what does that mean? That means that really all of Africa, particularly these East African nations, they understand this. This is why we have been able to coordinate and have dignitaries and lawyers and accountants that have signed up, and more will be signing up because more folks on the continent have shown interest and participating in this seminar. They see the opportunities that's getting ready to unfold. We don't have to say, well, family, it'll be okay. Just, please, please. No, no, no. We don't need to beg y'all for this. You see what's happening. We don't need to beg anybody for this. You see what's going on. Well, Brother Karras, I don't know. What's happening in the Red Sea right now? Do you think it's going to get better or it's going to get worse? In my calculations, and based off of what the ICJ, the International Court of Justice, just said, it's going to get worse. You better understand
Can I say
how
this,
to
brother?
use group economics and cooperatives. You better understand how to reach on out and talk to folks to be able to establish something that will not just benefit you, but your generations after you. We don't actually have that much time to prepare. If you've noticed, we do not have that much time to prepare. So take advantage of the time right now and please sign up. You can go to Invest in Africa seminar right now. Sign up today. That's going to be Sunday, March 31st at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also encourage you all to come on over to Quest to Unite Africa for our Sunday collaborations at 11 a.m. Eastern and see what we're doing, see what we're about. We're not just about the Invest in Africa seminar. That's one of our highlights. But there are other projects and opportunities that we have going on with this organization. This is why we ask for your support. There's a
Brother
whole lot
Karras.
of things for us to do. Yes, Brother Mikael.
Yes, you was like, I'm in the supply chain business. Do goods and service under this transportation area, and in 2020 we saw just a minimal immediate slowdown of the economy when the pandemic hit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to make brothers and sisters, you see how hard it was to get things then. And you saw how those ships couldn't dock. You saw the Panama Canal backed up and ships turned over. And now you seeing what's going on in the Red Sea. Brothers and sisters, you don't have that much time. Because let me tell you something. If these trucks would have stopped running during the pandemic, just one day would have set the U.S. behind 10 years. Now that those supplies can't come in, if they can't, everybody's bankrupt. This whole country going bankrupt. I'm just, we don't have that much time, like Carrie said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a sense of urgency, right? That's the sense of urgency. Look, Mike, we're trying to get Mike on out to the continent in a few weeks. He just has to get things taken care of with his son that he's wrapping on up this week, right after this call.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And we're also talking to our other brothers and sisters on out there that's there on the ground to coordinate with other activities. There are a lot of things that we do. And honestly, it is running me ragged. I'm not gonna lie. I can't wait till tonight with the Sabbath. But we don't even know what's gonna go on throughout the world. We don't know what's gonna go crazy. But we're just at that time. I just can't say, well, you want to know what? I need to take a break. I need to relax. I need to give myself what is it? A mental day. I need a mental break. No. The time for games is over. Did you just see did you all just take a look at what I showed you earlier today as we begin? I didn't even do an introduction. We just went straight to The Hague. The time for games is over. The time for playing Israelite is over. The time for playing, I don't know what's going on. I'm just going to wait and see what y'all's doing. That's over. We're now in this time. It's put up or shut up. This is it. And it's
Yeah.
going to get progressively worse and worse and worse and worse. That's what I'm telling you. Come April. Woo. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I can only imagine what that would look like.
We're within what? The 90-day window? 75-day
Yeah,
window?
something like that. Something like that. And you know
We
that
haven't
great
even
sign
hit
that a
February.
great eclipse coming in April. Then it's Passover.
Yeah, then Passover. Yeah.
We haven't even hit February, family. We haven't even hit February. Why is it 88 degrees outside in January in Florida? Red and I had to go and get some equipment in Orlando yesterday. I'm wearing pants. And that sucker is hot. It should not be 89, almost 90 degrees in
It
Central
sure was
Florida
hot.
in January.
It's hot. Hey, I'm down here now. It's warm, brothers and sisters. It's warm.
You know what I'm saying?
77 degrees at 8:54 in the morning.
Exactly. Why am I running
It's warm over
AC?
here as well.
Why?
It's warm over here. The sun's shining outside.
Signs
I got
and
the air
wonders,
conditioner on.
man.
What?
And just last week, it was 16 degrees in North
Mhm.
Mississippi, brothers and sisters. Now, guess what? It got up to 70 degrees yesterday. 70? You know what's coming behind that? Tornadoes.
Yep.
Yeah, tornadoes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Hey, now that you recall this prophecy said in the destruction. What it was talking about, like an hour of the destruction of Babylon. Do you recall that, Karis?
Yeah, alas, for 1 hour, and and there's a couple of scriptural references that's found in Jeremiah, that's found in Revelations, even Daniel, and I look at Esdras and Baruch, so it's on out there. But what does that hour eclipse do? It's a culmination.
And that's that was my question. Um, in light of what's going on and things of that nature, it's like I'm trying to figure out not how do we proceed, but more so understanding. You got to have understanding in order. You have to have an understanding in order for you to know which way you need to do this and do that. And so I know the scripture said in 1 hour she will be destroyed. And then now, is that a literal hour or is that
Well, I think the ultimate destruction to me is honestly when we up and leave out of here, as the word says, right? That's just Bible prophecy. That's just how that goes. I think the question is going to be the condition of the people at the time that we leave, because will the people fight? Do they have the ability to fight? See, destruction doesn't necessarily mean that everybody is destroyed, everything is collapsed and no, destruction just means that they aren't allowed to have the power in their hands, because now that power has been given over to another source or another authority. That's the destruction. Look, Babylon went down. They got destroyed by the Medes and the Persians. Didn't mean that everybody died. It just means that the Medes and the Persians came through and took control of that Sumerian
System. You talk
system.
about the system
Yeah,
dying. All
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Sumerian
And
system.
then after them, it was
The
what's
Greeks.
his face, the Greeks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then after
the
the Greeks,
city
it
still
was
stood,
bingo. It was still Rome. You
but
know.
having said that, Caris, it does say that the land is going to be completely desolate. So
Mhm.
what are we talking about? We're not talking about an army coming in and just taking over. We're talking about complete annihilation of
Mhm.
this land. It says it's going to be desolate. And then was it Isaiah 47 where it says that there's not going to be it's not going to be a fire where you can sit down at it, where you can just warm yourself up. It's not going to be this warm, loving glow of a fire where you can just warm your hands and camp
What?
out.
Why is that? Have we all seen there's drone technology?
Or even radiation. We're talking about thermonuclear radiation after the,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, look,
hits.
but you get that, you put that fire on out there, and you still have them drones swarming around. Now they're gonna catch you on that infrared. They'll catch you on the infrared. I don't think people even want to know. It's to even know what's coming. It is scary. It'll shock you to understand all the tools that can be employed. It will shock you. Matter of fact, a lot of people would be devastated to understand everything that can be done, even in this present day and age. And let me tell you, it's gotten even better. That drone warfare has gotten even better. How you gonna flee
Hmm.
when you see a drone coming at you at 150 miles an hour? You ain't going nowhere when that drone is hitting you at 150 miles an hour. You're just gonna sit there, get a blink of your eyes, and go to go to oblivion.
Well, you know what Edris say? Edris said, "Woe is me, woe is me. Who's gonna deliver me in those days? In the
Hmm.
days we living right now." I mean, he saw it. He Most High showed it to him, and it, you know, he was exhausted after the division. Edris had to go rest for a few days and come back and get the vision. So,
Mm.
woo, just thinking about it, man, it just wow.
But
Yeah.
we have a deliverer.
Hmm. And now, listen, you know, this isn't to be a shock. This isn't to be doom and gloom, but this is just to tell you all the truth. You
What
all
did
aren't
I
going to get.
say?
You all aren't going to get this at your churches. They're not going to be, giving you this. You need to repent and, you know, come to Yahusha. No, they're not going to tell you that. They're going to tell you, look, the nation's been abandoned because why? Because they haven't paid their tithes, and because of abortion.
And
That's
the other thing, the colorful one.
hmm yeah, and the other stuff. That's all they're going to tell you, and that's all you're going to hear. Because why? They're not going to tell you the reality of what's going on. We are in a time now. Did it get more dangerous today than yesterday? Absolutely, it did. It sure did. It's doing that all the time, progressively. But what does that mean? Just because we see the danger ahead doesn't mean that we, you know, stare at the headlights of the oncoming, freight train. We get out the way. We move. We plan, and then we execute.
Hmm.
This is the Most High's timing.
How do you think this was play out with the this country in civil war with this decision?
Well, I mean, it's going to be a culmination of efforts because you got to remember when the country, it's not going to be if, but when the country gets
Yeah.
affected, then people are going to be asking the questions. Well, why are we supporting them? You see what I'm saying? They're going to be asking, why are we supporting that nation? Because if we're supporting that nation, we're going to suffer. It's gonna. So now I don't think people truly understand the effects of an economic embargo and what a sanctions looks like. Everything that we've done to these other nations,
It's coming back tenfold.
it's about to hit us.
So yeah, all right. So you're saying that, whatever, this hatred is going to be on the ish people, and the fact that it was funded and supported by the West, or the United States,
And this
they will
country
get.
as well.
In the UK, yeah, the Western UK. Remember, the UK is on its own island.
Yes.
And essentially speaking, so is the United States. Because remember, the United States isn't able to really they're not really able to contain a lot of its stuff, right? Because they'll have their exports. Oh, best believe they'll have the exports, but the imports, no,
Mm.
that will be shut down. That will be shut down.
So what other strength? I mean, now is the United States still in cahoots with Saudi Arabia and the oil?
Saudi Arabia will run to bricks.
It can be cut
There is
off.
no more. Like exactly. I don't think people realize. Like it's just not affect. It has. You haven't felt the effects. But what you're dealing with right now is everybody's chatting about America right now behind her back and giving her those side eyes. She hasn't felt that she's feeling the cold shoulder, but she hasn't felt the fullness of it. They've already lined up and they've already said, yeah, we ain't dealing with her anymore. Right. But she hasn't felt the effects of it. Later on in this year, you're going to feel the effects of it. And this country as well. So, but I see this country is going to be running to the continent with its tail between its legs. When you
Well,
read, when it talks about how her daughter, her mother is confounded because she's confused and she's not dazzled. She's confused and she's in a daze and she's like, okay, I can't deal with this. I love you, but I need to look about myself. And she's gonna go with her other siblings on the west, looking towards Russia. But the pride of America, she's not gonna. She's and she's gonna spit. She's gonna be spitting fire. Like, how could you leave me? You're a coward, and you're this and that. That's how I see things playing out. I kind of see that the UK is they'll talk a big game for a little while, and then they'll realize, yeah, who are you with? Because Ireland is like, yeah, you're kind of on your own because we're with the continent already. We told you all, so that's just how I see things, you know.
Mm.
But
Okay.
yeah, America is on her own. She's gonna be on her own. People they've already I see it as the nations are already in talks with each other. The same way how that place was shut out of that meeting in Africa where there's like, yeah, you gotta leave. And
hmm
it's so funny because I guarantee you that was what was on the table. That was why it's like they can't be here because South Africa has something that they need to say, so get them out.
yeah,
You know, but that's the same thing that's going to happen to America. The only thing is America took herself out of certain places because she couldn't stay in there because of the things that she's doing to you guys. Like you can't turn around and talk about human rights going on in India or in Pakistan or in China with the Uyghurs or in Saudi Arabia or in Yemen or in Africa. You can't talk about human rights when you are doing what you're doing. Like for real, what is wrong with you? You're so full of yourself. The arrogancy. I can't. I really can't take the arrogancy of these people. I'm sorry. I know this is a rant, but it's the arrogancy, and you think that you can dictate and tell people how to manage their own countries, but no one can ever turn around and say anything to you. No one has any right to say anything to you. You know, when I listen to these Christians talking about, how dare they do this? I want to ask you one question. So when Russia comes in your doors to your step and is literally takes over and they're there for like, let's say 5 years or even 70 years, and you're going to turn and you start hitting them because you're fighting for your freedom. Let's just say, because I don't believe that's going to happen, but let's just say you're fighting for your freedom, for your so-called land, because we know it's not yours, but whatever, for the sake of the argument. You're fighting for your land. You're going to turn around and say, if Russia says, oh, we're fighting for, we did this, we're hitting them because we have the right to defend ourselves. Is that how that's going to go? Like, because that's literally where you're heading. Everything that you drop out of your lips, bruh, you literally find yourself sitting in the mess that you put down for others. Recognize that. Anyway, I'm done.
Well, that's what the word says. Listen, the Most High is a righteous Elohim, right? He judges the righteous, or he judges righteously, right? And so, even though there may have been a time of evil that was allowed to go on, there's also a time of reckoning that always happens. And the people don't like the reckoning because they've been so used to doing things wickedly. But it doesn't mean that the Most High just sits there forever. No, judgment happens. They just didn't want to be in a time where, this is happening. We knew it was going to happen. We started to wake up. We started to understand who we were, and we started to cry out. And in doing so, I'm looking at I'm seeing some of the scenes that's unfolding, and these protests are happening around the world. These protests are happening around the world. From Algeria to other places. It's gonna this weekend's gonna be wild. That's why I tell you, family, please, 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 excuse me, please ensure that you are being aware of your surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Yeah.
this that moment and what's it, Leave the World Behind, when Ruth was telling her father, let them go. When they was and it's at that time where this is that save yourself moment. And be about your spiritual well-being, because it's at that it's getting we at that point, and it's going to get it's going to get a lot harder. It is, and that's just my take on it. It's like, yeah. I know we say we are compassionate people, but when judgment has been issued out, ain't nothing that you can possibly do when Yah has deemed a person or a thing or whatever to a judgment. There's nothing you can possibly do but keep it moving.
Mm.
And
I
it is what
remember.
it is. Mm-hmm.
I remember 10 years ago. I wasn't in the truth then, and I didn't quite understand what these older white men that fought in World War II, that was old and dying off, and the Vietnam veterans that was old. They kept saying, my children's children ain't gonna be able to enjoy the freedoms that I have, and they would start crying, and I couldn't understand it then, but now I understand.
Mm-hmm.
What they were saying
Yeah.
about their race, about their children, and now we
But
seeing it.
the accountability was always gonna look. It was always gonna be there, and they already knew that it was gonna catch up to It was gonna catch up to them one day. They knew that it may not have caught up to them in their generation or in their day, but now they can kind of see things are really catching up. and it's catching up very, very quickly. We were talking about this, what, 2 weeks ago, right? You know, the the ICJ, and you know what this potential ruling is, and now look at what's been happening. Someone said the news was actually admitting the news had actually admitted, I think it was maybe ABC News or CBS News, that there have been over 140 strikes, missile strikes, in Syria and Iraq in the last 3 months. 140. Do you know what that means now with this ruling?
Talk to me.
That means that it's going to get even worse. And the accuracy is going to get even worse. To me, it means as though that some of these places you're going to start to see casualties. And you know, here's the thing: when I was in and I was able to see, you know, what was going on, you know, a lot of these strikes would be coordinated to where it would be like the gym. You know what I'm saying? At like 3 or 4 in the morning, and you know, someone would pass along, quote unquote, someone would pass along. You know, there are credible threats. And then when you actually find out what it is that they're doing was, look, we're going to strike you. We're going to make your life uncomfortable for you. And we're going to tell you when we're going to do it. And it's going to be up to you to be away from that. Now, have you realized, you know, folks just, they suffer TBI, you know, traumatic brain injuries and things of that nature? Because here's what happens behind the scenes. Behind the scenes, they get told. There are channels. Hey, tell this, tell that, say this, say that. They go through the channels. They go through embassies. They go through, you know, whatever diplomatic channels that they go through. Hey, here's an urgent thing, you know, this, and this.
Mm.
And now, you know, listen, now that the lives have been made, you know, your life is going to be made hard because why? You don't have a place to eat. You don't have a place to work out because you're working out gives you, you know, those endorphins to, you know, to survive, keeps you positive, keeps you, you know, healthy. And you won't have really anything to eat other than MREs, and that can be, you know, demoralizing too. But really, to me, in this calculus, now they're at the point is, hey, listen, and I know this, they know that they're not going to comply.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you that. In the worst case scenario, if you know, if they do not, uh, if they just keep on with the bombing, is that another word for the other nations to bomb? Even, hey, I mean, they got to protect themselves too.
Well, you know, now they're going to be looking at this diplomatically, right? And diplomatically in the terms of how they're going to employ their military, right? So the nice keywords of, you know, military operations isn't, you know, just tactical and strategic, you know, fighting for the sake of a, you know, military victory that provides, you know, diplomatic, um, you know, strategic goals to you know, affect the war. It's not like that. When you're talking about humanitarian crisis. Now you're talking about, okay, we need to have folks on the ground to monitor the situation and to ensure that all those that are there that are vulnerable have some sort of an international um, peacekeeping force. This is now what's going on. So now they're getting ready, and I'm going to tell you this, family. They're getting ready to now send over their armies right now. The question that I have is which Arab nations will go in first?
I was wondering that too. This is the worst scenario for America. This really was. They really didn't want this outcome at all. That's why they were calling the the case unfounded and it's a farce and this and the other. They were hoping to use the propaganda to deter, to scare the lawyers, the judges, and so on and so forth. It
Well,
didn't work.
well,
That's that.
now think about this. Now think about this, because I don't think a lot of folks have truly understood this implication. So then you have quote unquote peacekeepers on the ground, right? They've established their beachhead. They established their line of communication, right? And they've established some sort of a buffer zone there through Egypt. Keep this in mind, through Egypt, they have an operational presence on the ground in Gaza. I
I
mean,
love.
think about this. Think about this now. Now you have a force, an operational force. Maybe we'll say 15, 20, 30,000 people. You could probably a whole lot more, maybe more than what the entire, you know, army of them folks, the Eastern Mediterranean nation. And they just keep amassing and they keep amassing and they keep amassing all the whiles on February 19th, Slovenia and Indonesia are getting ready to be heard.
You know, the Jedi were known as the peacekeepers. And what happened? They ended up getting pulled into a galactic war.
Yep, they became politicians, and they were remanded by the fourth. What am I talking about?
you
But I'm
you think
Paris.
they've been trying to tell us something?
I
Maybe,
Well,
perhaps?
well, here's the thing. They would have the people on the ground. That goes February 19th. You probably would have a ruling in a couple of weeks. You probably wouldn't have a ruling all declared probably till about maybe late March, early April. All the while that everything is, they're layering up, they're pulling people into the region under the auspices of humanitarian aid. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing. If they try to shoot at the aid, guess what? That's a hostility. I think, to be honest, they're going to be hamstrung. It and this is what's going to be happening for these next couple of months.
Brother
Losing
Cap,
power.
is this the UN army that's gonna be doing this?
It doesn't have to be the UN Army. It does not have to be the UN Army. I think people forget that there's an organization of Islamic cooperation, the OIC. People forget about the
Oh,
OIC.
Oh, I see. Mm.
Hmm.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
I
see that
see.
too.
I see it too.
So now there's a lot of interesting political leads that's happening. I'm telling you, this is the calculus that they're trying to figure on out at the State Department right now as we speak.
They're gonna have to remix the Team World America Police song.
This is a bad day. It's a bad day. This is
Hmm.
not where they wanted to be at all.
Mm-mm.
Well, they had to be in that position. Uh, Obadiah. Hey, and they're in that position. And so, I mean, you gotta let it go ahead and play it on out. That's
Absolutely.
that's the only thing we can do. Man, to a degree, it's like, what's next? What's next? What's going to be your move here? And then just looking at these politicians here, they looking sick. I know they trying to build this election thing up. They trying to get people ramped up, but that energy is not here. They're not getting ramped up. I mean, it's certain people, they want to see Trump in office. They're about the only one that's getting ramped up about this.
Mm.
But the majority of the people, no. I mean, look at the politicians. Look at them. Just truthfully, look at them, and you can see how disgusted they are feeling. They knowing, and they feel it. Their power leaving them. If we go back to 2001 when they had that Twin Towers attack. You see how it shocked the world. It's like a measure of fear came upon this whole country because we never seen anything that dramatic before. Never seen nothing like that before. But when those planes flew into that building, we're like, oh my, hey. And I never will forget this. I was working with AT&T at the time, and manager's boss, hey, fill up the tank in the work truck. And everybody's in the mad dash. They seen something, and the world got scared. The United States got scared. There was a measure of fear that really, truly laced the United States. Because I'm going to tell you this, during that time, the police was not messing with black people. At that time, the Gentiles was very scared, and they knew who they needed to hold on to, and it was us. You all on TV, they was having visuals, they was holding hands. They made sure they showed. What was it? What was the name? Rice. Her last name was Rice. They made sure they showed her holding hands with everybody, and they supposedly praying. And then this is the time when I say they was not messing with black people, they was not messing with nobody on the West Side. But once that dust settled, they went right back to their same old game.
But that's all they know how to do. That's why it says that after 1,000 years, they're going to come out. They can't change. That's what I'm saying. No other nation is going to change. The only nation that is going to change is Yasharal, and that's only because the Most High said, I'm going to make you change. I'm doing it for my name's sake, as he said. Oh, yeah. So they can't change. Can the leopard change his spots? No. They can't change. The individuals within those nations can change. Everybody has the ability to change, to seek the Most High, to seek grace. But as a whole, as a unit, they can't change. It's not in them to. So don't be surprised if they do, they have this kumbaya moment, especially now. It could go either or, to be honest with you. They could become very aggressive, or they could be very tearful and sorrowful and want this. They want you to comfort them. I need you to call. I love it when Black Americans call me baby, and they need that. They need to be stroked. They need to be held. Yeah, that video. They need to be told, it's okay, baby, it's okay. It's that everything's gonna be fine. They need to hear that. But no, everything is not gonna be fine. It's not. It's just not. We're not here to stroke you, because we already know. We've done that so many times, and every time we think, okay, maybe you're going to learn from this, you don't.
No, they don't. So, what they'll sit there and call you out your name. It was these two broadcasters, and it was a women's basketball game going on, and it was two of the players. But he called both of the players. They was black. He said he called them nappy headed did he call them nappy headed hoes or something? But it was nappy headed. And so they came out. Then the first thing they do, I apologize. So and so this. All of them always apologize.
Like, ain't you sorry? Ain't you like fed up of always apologize? Just keep your mouth shut.
Well, they don't want to do that because they feel that they have a power where they can say something. Then all they got to do is fall back and say, "Oh, I was at a moment of weakness. I apologize for saying this and saying that." You
Then you're
know,
just perpetually weak. Then what's the matter with
yeah,
you?
I
It's
don't know,
like,
but
I'm so
I'm
sorry.
just tired of the apology. Now, I mean, it seems like that's their fallback. Say what you want to say, then you come back and you apologize to the world. Let the world see that you apologize, and we move on. No, it's getting to a point where the apologies is falling on deaf ears. I mean, what the lady that went in there and shot that? I mean, deleted the brother down in Texas. Talking, she's in the wrong apartment. And
Oh
it
God.
seems like all of them seem like they have this acting down to a science. They start crying and making all these excuses. The brother that was jogging, they get out because they want to make a citizen arrest. Come on now, all this stuff is adding up.
Mm.
It's adding up. I mean, come on. I mean, we can go into this stuff. I mean, to the wee hours of the night. But it's just you get. It's at a point. Your apologies
You run out.
don't mean nothing.
Exactly. It's done. It's over. It means nothing. It's about as worthless as your dollar. You know.
There you go.
It
Hmm.
means nothing.
All
So
that doesn't matter now when you're not the hammer of the world and you are under high scrutiny. Like, it really doesn't matter what apology we get from them. Like I said, they're going to feel the hurt because they will not repent and they will not change their mind about what they hold on to and what they value, and it's all a judgment. And I honestly think that this whole thing is just setting up for the I don't know what horse represents uh uh war or whatever, but it's definitely
red,
that's what I feel in my
The red
spirit
one.
that
Yeah, the
a
red
red
one.
horse.
I feel like that's where we're at now. It's about, and then I see like all this unrest that's gonna happen, and then yes, the Antichrist is gonna come. I mean, I mean, I don't know how soon, but he has to come pretty much after this conflict comes to head or whenever it does, because I just see it all lining up now.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, there's a lot more for us to discuss on Covenant Awakenings on Monday, because there's going to be a lot of fallout going to happen with this over the weekend, and that's going to be something that we'll analyze further. So with that being said, family, again, this is technically Questing Night Africa discussions live on Friday. Shout out to all of our brothers and sisters that help to support the mission at Quest to Unite Africa. Quest to Unite Africa is committed to our mission of building critical infrastructure and economic development on the continent. Please help us continue the work by visiting quest2uniteafrica.org and supporting our popcorn fundraiser that's getting ready to start on the 29th. We'll have our website updated for that. We also have our Quest Unite Africa shop, or even signing up to be a valued Quest Unite Africa volunteer. There are plenty of things, family, that we are trying to do and get accomplished, because now we see that the work really is not just beginning, but it's about to start piling on, because
Hmm.
now folks can start to see what is really happening, because now the world can't hide what is going on all throughout the world. Not gonna say the world, but the West. It's Western media where we're at in these times. So with that, final comments.
You know
Uh,
what?
uh,
Let me go. Well, it's Carrie said something earlier today, and he's correct. For those that there was about the assumption that Quest Unite Africa or CARE was begging for funds in order for this organization to continue to move. No. He wasn't begging. He was asking. And now this is the thing. Now we didn't going this day forward. No, we're not begging. Now we ask. It's not begging because he just said it. You seeing now what's happening. And I'm on the thing. And you're seeing what's happening now. There's nothing that Karis can make you believe because all you got to do is see. That's all you have to do. These days, and it's going to get to a point where Karis is going to have to stop. I'm going to have to stop, and we it's going to get to that point because now you see individually what's happening and what you need to do as a person or as a family member or as the head of the household. You know exactly what you need to do. Yah has put that right before your face. That's what he has done. And so now we're seeing that we are at the threshold of another type of rulership, and one that is fading away. That's what we're seeing right now. We are literally witnessing that. You've seen the pros, you heard the pros, you heard the cons, and it don't look good going neither ways for this system that is. So my encouragement is this: stay alert. Make your spiritual decision not based upon the flesh. Let everything that you do, your line of thinking, your line of decision, be based upon that on the spirit. The flesh, you're going to reap corruption off of that flesh, and we're witnessing that right now from these different nations. That's their flesh, and they are literally reaping what they are sowing because of their flesh. And I hand it back to you, Brother Karras.
All right. Thank you, Brother Mike.
I'll go next. Thank you for having me on. It's super amazing to see the Most High's hands at work. To see everything just happening as he prophesied it would. You know, it to me, it's not a scary time as such. It's more of a time to take comfort in this, because the scripture says this was going to happen, and he says he's doing it because he wants his people back. He wants his children back. And to me, there's a comfort in that. He wants us home. He wants to be with his people, with his children again. He wants us united. He wants all the siblings to be together and for them to be fellowshipping, loving each other. That's what this is all about. So when I see these things happening, this is not a time for us to fear. The Most High says, I have not given you a spirit of fear. And the time, it's time for us now to just stand up and to be an anchor to our family and friends and those around us who are going to be terrified, because there's going to be a lot of people, a lot of our people who's going to be terrified, who's not going to know what's going on. And they're going to need that light. They are also going to be light, but in order, it's like one candle lighting another candle. That's what we need to do with each other. We need to forward the light so that the whole of Yasharal is a beacon, because there are other nations and other people from other nations who are going to be looking for that hope, for that beacon, because they were looking towards those people, but now they can see that these people are just nothing but darkness. So this is not a time for us to be scared. This is a time to rejoice and to say hallelujah to the Most High, because he said this was going to happen. This is his word. And he says, see, I have shown you these things so that you will believe in me, that we will have faith and trust him because he said it was going to be. So I want everybody to just take that on, and yeah, as well, just be vigilant. These people are crazy. That's what I want to say. Thank you, Karis.
All right, thank you, Sister Chantel.
Yeah, I go next. Thank you, Brother Karras, for having me on. I just want to say to the family, but first, to give all honor and praise to the Most High. Family, just like Brother Karras said earlier in the broadcast, just stay aware, be aware of your surroundings. This ain't a time to be in circus and play right now. You see what's going on in the earth. Let's stay in prayer. Let's pray for one another, uplift one another. And that's all I got to say, Brother Karras.
All right, thank you, Brother Mikhail. Be safe on out there. All right. Hallelujah. All right, who's next? I think y'all are busy. They're busy, family, getting
I'm
these
here.
year
I'm
end
here. I'm here.
these year end
I'm
these
here.
year end closeouts for the
Do you hear me?
tax contributions. Yes, we hear you. We hear you.
Yeah, I'm a little tired. But I'm here, Brother Karras. I'm gonna keep it really long. Shalom, everyone, and enjoy your Shabbat. Peace.
All right, thank you, brother Garth. He has been working with Sister Princess to get that taken care of for all those that have supported Quest Unite Africa from the very beginning in April. All of those donations are tax deductible. Hallelujah. They're all tax deductible. So, family, that's the work that we're doing because, we are really having a tremendous impact on the continent. But all that work cannot be accomplished without your help. If I had the funds available, trust me, I would not be asking anyone for not one nary cent. But I believe, the Most High does this because, number one, it definitely knocked me out of my comfort zone to ask. And number two, listen, this is to support really his cause, his organization that I truly believe that we do on a daily basis with all the opportunities that we give and that we can report to our family. Sister Shar, any last comments, or she may be busy? She may be away from her desk.
Oh, well, now, I'm in the background doing what I do. I can't think of a more exciting time to be alive. I can't think of a more exciting time to know who our Heavenly Father is. I can't think of a more exciting time to be the people who He has placed His seal upon and He has put His name upon so that the entire nation, the entire world will put some respect back on His name. I cannot think of a more exciting time. And although it's kind of like it's really sobering and it might put knots in your stomach, like we're actually here.
Mm-hmm.
We trust in the Most High Yah. We trust in the power of His throne. We trust we have confidence in the certainty of every word He has uttered because He cannot lie. And as the lies of this system continue to be exposed, all they do is bolster the credibility of every word that we've placed our trust in that has come forth from the throne room of Yah. And so we take courage in Him, not in our own strength. We take courage in His might, not in the strength of our own hands. We live for Him and we bend the knee to Him because He is the King of all kings. And so I'm just blessed to be a part of working with y'all, my brothers, my sisters. I'm so blessed to interface with our brothers and sisters on the continent to continue to build these bridges of understanding. We are a part of going from being the oppressed to being in the status of blessing, but there is turbulence in the transition. And so take courage and continue to do that work, in your quiet time. Continue to do that work in the way that we're loving one another. Continue to work out your own soul salvation with fear and trembling. That's all I got. Be blessed.
All right. Thank you, Sister Shar. And with that, family, that closes out our Quest to Unite Africa discussion. Again, thank you all, family, for your support of this channel, this organization. Continue, family, to keep us in your prayers as we ask for favor for some of these, for certain things that we're working on. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So with that, family, we are living in some interesting times. But know one thing for sure, is that the Most High has us covered under his wings through the blood of his son, Yahushua HaMashiach. That's not just for Israelites, that's also for Gentiles. So be safe, be blessed, and stay encouraged. So with that said, Most High willing, I'll be back on Monday for Covenant Awakenings. And as for Quest to Unite Africa, discussions live. Shalom, salama, siemi, shalom. Peace and blessings, Yasharel.
Tuna wageni watatu, Mheshimiwa Sebastian Kapufi, mbunge, ambao ni wadau wa maendeleo kutoka Marekani. Wadau wa maendeleo kutoka Marekani, karibuni sana.
Container packed with supplies that need to make their way to families in Africa, like yesterday. You said this is a 53-foot trailer? This trailer is packed with medical supplies destined to the motherland. We need to help get these out of here. Are you tired of fighting with your wife or with your husband? Have you each retreated into your separate corners, not even trying to speak to each other anymore? Are your children witnessing a toxic marriage rather than a purposeful partnership? Hi, I am Shar, and I am an attorney mediator and experienced in helping families for the past 13 years navigate really challenging times. And I am here to help you. Husbands, hear your wives. Wives, hear your husbands. So together we can find the truth why your family is struggling and what it will take to get unstuck from cycles of misunderstanding and patterns of frustration. Join me live on YouTube on this Monday night at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern as I conduct a live mediation. And if you would like to be heard, if you would like to hash out a misunderstanding with your spouse here on our live, sign up now to apply for your free opportunity to mediate. And I look forward to seeing you Monday night.